may be one of these substances that will help to trigger this. But overall, what we're talking about is the way that we can begin to achieve this exalted state is simply by choice, by right focus and right concentration on choosing love over fear. That's where it all begins right there. We have to begin to live in what so many call the perfect moment, where we are in the moment and we are constantly focused on the right words, the right thoughts, the right actions. This is, of course, Buddha's Eightfold Path that I'm describing here, and that was the Buddha's prescription for overcoming suffering. Choosing right words, right thoughts, right action, right intention. And what that does is it seems to trigger this essence from within us naturally.
Meaning that if we can get ourselves into the right state, these odors, these scents might be able to soothe something within us. It's the soothing of this fear that's important. And this is why the Magdalene's whole approach to Jesus, the washing of the feet, it was a process of soothing. Then this is terribly, terribly important to understand. And, I spent a lot of years in the Gurdjieff Foundation, and Mr. Gurdjieff had another name for this that's very revealing. He called it the organ kundabuffer. The organ kundabuffer is an organ placed in the human body to prevent Kundalini energy from rising up the spine. In other words, to prevent you from going up Jacob's ladder. That organ, in one respect, can be viewed as the amygdala when it generates fear response. Now, you understand how very, very deep this is within us. And it's why scent is important, because nothing goes deeper into your being and consciousness and below your consciousness than odors and scents. William, can you tell us a little bit more about what the Magdalene exactly did to Jesus in preparation for this extraordinary moment of resurrection that is commemorated for us in the Shroud of Turin?
Sure, but just before I do that, I want to recommend one other scent, Whitley, and that is the scent of rose. And the reason I recommend that is because the French word rose is so close to the Egyptian word rus, which means gate. And the way we open these gates, I believe, also is through this scent, and certainly the scent of rose is something that we can all keep around us very easily. We can keep roses in a vase, and we can enjoy the scent that way, or we can get concentrated rose oil. So that would be something that I would definitely recommend. Now, getting back to your question, what we have to, again, understand or begin to appreciate is the extensive training that Mary Magdalene must have undergone preparatory to her experience of meeting Jesus on that one night in Capernaum. She, as a priestess of Isis, as a priestess of Inanna, and a priestess of the Syrian goddess Mari, most certainly would have been schooled in the methods by which these individuals, which were called the temple prostitutes or harlots, had the capability of opening gates into other realms. And I've said this several times, that when you really look at the story between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, it almost begins to appear that he was her daredevil test pilot, and she was the one that seemed to possess more of the keys of knowledge. And without her, his mission, his revolution, really wasn't going to be going anywhere, because she, in fact, was the one that possessed the secret of this substance that was called Christ, which means anointed, which was called Christos or Krestos, which comes from the Egyptian word karast, spelled K-A-R-A-S-T, which means oil. And by introducing this substance, this essence to Jesus, this is what transformed him into the Christ-like being that we refer to today. And I always encourage people to make the distinction between Jesus the person and Christ as the holy substance, because there is a very distinct difference between the two.
Yes, there is a distinct difference between the two. Jesus was a person, but Christ, the holy substance, can become part of you right now.
That's right.
That's the difference, and it's considerable. The memory, vestigial memory of that is the process of communion that takes place to this day in some Christian, some subgroups of Christianity, most notably, I guess, the Episcopalians and the Catholics and a few others. But that's only a symbolic act. We're talking about a real thing that can happen to you here and now. There's reality behind all of these old stories and symbols that we have been had that reality forcefully separated from us by the illusions of these institutions that we don't need. We don't need them. We don't need them. Yeah. What do we need, William?
Well, what we need is, I really feel, is to understand our bodies from this perspective, that esoteric Christianity, which again is drawing from so many of these ancient traditions, was dedicated to the revelation of secrets that enable us to put on the new clothes. And that's what I feel like we all need. What we're all attempting to create here is to, from within us, to draw upon these sacred traditions of India, of Iran, of Egypt, of Greece, and the mystical Jewish traditions, and those of the first Christians, and assimilate and formulate the teaching whereby the average individual can ignite our divine self. And we do that by, again, focused intention, but also by understanding the mystical aspects of our body, and that, in fact, this is an amazing gift that we have, this gift of life, and we need to be able to learn how to use this body in its mystic sense rather than to let it be used as a sword in somebody else's battle, which unfortunately is where most of us are at.
As soon as we embrace the yes and the no, yes, this is good, no, that's bad, and we reject one faith for another. I'm a Lutheran and the Methodists are all idiots. Or I'm a Christian and the Buddhists and the Islamic people are all going to hell. Or I am Islamic, and therefore the others are all going to hell. All of that is that is activating the amygdala and making the fear vibration a permanent part of your being, so that you never escape, and then you die. And what happens then, William?
Well, for the most part, I personally believe that we're either going to reincarnate or you're going to stay in limbo for a time, and that's just my personal belief. I don't have anything to actually point to that says that's an absolute fact, but that's what I believe.
And this profound forgetting of self, being, and life that we dignify by the term reincarnation will beset you again, and so it will go until there will come a time when there are no more bodies for us to incarnate into, and there are people who came in here now with a kind of warning saying that the time in which there is going to be a plethora of bodies and plenty of bodies to go around so you can keep doing this is just about over. And then you're left in a state of limbo forever. I mean, maybe for millions of years, for vast, unimaginable amounts of time. You don't need that. Now, as not before in thousands of years, this planet is attuned to ascension. It's really available now, so listen up. William, I want now, with that in mind and bearing that in mind, to begin to talk about another level of energy, the Tower and the Magdalene.
Yeah, this is one of the things that, again, prompted me to write the book. I've kept seeing references to the oil of Mary Magdalene and also references to this mystery of the meaning of the name Magdalene. It's said to mean tower or tower of the flock, and I was very curious, what does that mean? What are we really talking about there? And you have so many great scholars that just seem to repeat the same thing over and over again without really looking more deeply into the meaning of what might be referenced here. And when I began to look into Mary Magdalene's story here, and especially this connection of her name and its meaning of tower, I was really basically shocked to find that it led me right back to the story of the Tower of Babel, what other tower is there of such significance that would cause someone to be called the tower? And in fact, her name, Mary, means beloved,